What's going on, everybody? ChromeOnRust here. We're going to be taking a look at a Greater Rift level 31 Barbarian build. That's the highest rift that I have been able to successfully complete. Wanted to break at least 30, and I was able to successfully do that just the other day. So we're going to go over the build, the skills, the gear, the Paragon points, and all that. And this is in patch 2.1 or on the PTR, so not everything for your Barbarian is exactly the same as it is on the live servers, but it's pretty similar. If you want to run a build like this on the live server, you'd be able to drop a ton of survivability, because once you start getting into level 30 and above, the damage difference from what it is in Torment 6 does start to significantly increase. So I'm pretty tanky right now, and to help tank out just a little bit more, I have been running Call of the Ancients together as one. Now, I'm not using a Mortal King set or anything like that. I am strictly relying on, well, just the cooldown of my Ancients. I'm using Wrath the Berserker, I'm using Earthquake, so using Boonable Kathos, reducing the cooldown of Earthquake, Call of the Ancients, and Wrath the Berserker. To use those three, it's pretty much mandatory, and you want to stick with this passive. I shouldn't say it's mandatory, it just helps a ton in reducing the cooldown of those skills, and you want to be able to use them as often as you can. Now, Leap with Death from Above, just stunning mobs around you is going to tremendously help you to dish out some damage, as well as be able to get to safety, because you stun the monsters, you just kind of run away, they're sitting there burning in your Earthquake damage. So Death from Above is what I prefer to use. Molten Fury, still just a really great ability for Earthquake. Now, we are in the PTR, as they said, and they've actually buffed Earthquake quite a bit compared to what it was on the base damage. So running something like Cold or Lightning or maybe one of the other fire runes is actually kind of an option now, but Molten Fury for the highest amount of damage is still the way to go. Ignore Pain with Contempt for Weakness. Now, this is actually a new rune for Ignore Pain. Ignore Pain, Bravo used to just break immunity, or you'd gain immunity to all crowd controlling effects with Bravo on. But Bravo's different now. Contempt for Weakness, I do believe it was called something else, so it's just a completely new one. I think it used to reflect 50% of the damage back at the target that dealt some damage to you, but now it is going to instantly heal you for 35% of your maximum life. We're stacking a ton of cooldown reduction using the belt, the Pride of Cassius. We're going to be able to have our Ignore Pain up quite often, and it's going to really be almost like an additional potion bud for you. So getting a nice amount of healing is pretty good every time you want to cast your Ignore Pain. Warcry with Impunity, just tanking out as much as possible while keeping your damage as high as possible is what you're wanting to do. Impunity, I felt I just pretty much needed to throw on a Warcry or maybe Threatening Shout or something like that for a little bit of additional survivability. Wrath the Berserker with Insanity. Striding Giant is also pretty good, maybe like Thrive on Chaos, but the damage buff that Insanity gives you is pretty hard to pass up. When you get in the higher greater rifts, it gets pretty hard to kill things. Having Insanity really helps speed things up for you. Sticking with the Boonable Kathos, reducing the cooldown of your Wrath of Berserker as much as you possibly can is really, really amazing. Superstition, as well as Tough as Nails, probably some of your tankiest two passives that you have for your Barbarian, just overall making you just a little bit tankier, not really helping you when you're crowd controlled or anything like that. Like these two right here, just for all-out tanking, is really, really nice together in synergy. So I've been preferring to use those, as well as I'm not really using any Fury Spender other than Earthquake. So I've been running Berserker's Rage, and also being the PTR, they reduced the Earthquake cost from 50 down to 25. It's a lot easier now to keep your Berserker's Rage active. You just cast a Warcry or you cast your Earthquake before your leaps, and you're going to be back to maximum fury and dealing 25% additional damage quite fast. Going over the skill or the gear here real fast. Now you can tell that legendary gems are out as well, but I did not use legendary gems in the video that you're seeing in the background. I could have. I have this amulet that you see here. It has a socket on it. Now the legendary gems are only going to be able to be socketed into your rings or your amulets, so I'm planning on testing out with that. I just wanted to see as far as my gear can take me, type of gear that I'm running at 2.0.6, how far is that going to be able to take me in greater rifts, like as soon as they go live. So hitting 31, don't feel that it's the cap for this build. You're just going to need to maybe get a little bit luckier with RNG. I did greater rift level 32, because that's what I got from at the end of the greater rift level 31, and I did not successfully complete it. I think I killed the Rift Guardian like 30 seconds after the timer ran out. So it was really close, but the zone really wasn't that great either. So I think you could take it a little bit further than this. Now the gear, 3 pieces of Might of the Earth is required, and then using a Royal Ring of Grandeur. Raycor's set, being the PTR, is pretty good. Like, they changed the way the Raycor's animation works. I actually could just go ahead and show you here real fast. If you have not seen Raycor's or the Furious Charge animation now, you just pretty much blast across the screen. It's a lot faster. I would say it's like faster than it was, and you move further. It's just really good. It's pretty good, but you need to pick up Vile Wards and the belt that's going to give you double rend damage. Now the Vile Wards are increasing the damage of your Furious Charge. I do not have either of those, so I'm just kind of stuck with what I'm stuck with. Server's shutting down in 15 minutes, so we do need to speed this up maybe just a little bit. Not that this should take 15 minutes to go through the gear. But you can tell that I used all resistance gems. Just getting as tanky as I possibly could was really, really nice. Now I'm also using Aughilds, or if you're 9-ball, Augchilds. Aughilds is really, really good. I have reduced damage from elites on the chest. I don't know that that's the best roll. It's pretty good, but I'm already using Aughilds, which is going to reduce the damage that I take from elites by 15% with a 3-piece set bonus. So getting it on the chest, while it is nice, I really don't have almost any vitality on my gear. You can see that I have 3,089 vitality, and that's not even from my gear. I have 545 from Paragon points because my life pool was just so low. See, they're sitting at 270k. I needed a way to increase my vitality, and well, I was doing that through the use of the Paragon points. There's not a ton with the gear. You know, this is your typical Might of the Earth build. It's just the way that you put the skills together, the particular pieces of gear that you choose to use is really what's going to decide whether you go to the next higher greater rift or if you don't. You know, you need to think of those really good synergies and combos together. Now the other ring I'm using, Unity Ring, reducing the damage that we take by 50%. As I said, I am using Call of the Ancients, which is going to reduce the damage by 50%. So that's running around 25% overall damage that I'm going to take when my Call of the Ancients is active and my Enchantress is alive with the Unity Ring, which she's always alive because we're using the trinket to where that follower cannot die. As well as I have Ignore Pain, and I have Warcry, just an all-around really tanky build. At the very end, I'm going to keep the video going so you can see exactly what happened throughout the Greater Rift, but at the very end, I think I had a, well, I won't spoil it. You'll see exactly how long I had left. It wasn't anything real intense, but it was pretty exciting. I do feel that to complete Greater Rift like 32 and 33 semi-often successfully, you are going to be needing higher damage. I think maybe sacrificing 2 of the all resistance gems is something that I probably could have done and still had enough survivability, but that's just something I need to really test. I need to get more Greater Rift Keystones in the higher tiers and then just run them and see what's the most efficient. Now the other item here, using the Royal Ring of Grandeur, so I'm using the Might of the Earth set, Aughilds, and the next piece is going to be the Hexing Pants, because Aughilds actually does not take up any of your Earthquake slots if you're using the chest and bracers, which leaves open, you know, you could use whatever you wanted here. If you wanted to use something like Mage Fist in this slot, you could. I like to use Hexing Pants. I do feel that they're better than Mage Fist if you're running a Maximum Fury build, which we are. So as soon as we start moving, you can see that my damage is 491. Start moving, it goes all the way up to 775,000 damage. So it's pretty good damage increase. You really just want to keep moving as often as possible. Cast your Earthquakes and just get to safety really, real fast. Now, there's also going to be items like the Ramalandi's Gifts that's coming out, which is pretty good. It's going to allow you to reroll the socket off of your weapon if that's the item that you, or the stat that you rerolled. Throw a socket back onto the weapon. Currently they're bugged in the PTR, but finding one is something I'm still looking to do, so I don't know exactly what's going on with the bug, but I heard it kind of messes up your weapons. But you can always restart and reload your account back onto the PTR, so it's still something I want to test around with. Going through the Paragon points here real fast, as I said, I had my maximum movement speed, which I believe I needed 14 points of movement speed to be at cap, or 25% is the cap. I had it all maxed out in vitality. As I said, 270k life. Farming in Greater Rifts, level 30 and above, is pretty crazy. So I did want to max out that as much as I possibly could. The rest of the Paragon points, cooldown reduction, is a must, and then your crit hit chance or crit hit damage, whichever one you need on your gear more. Attack speed always being the last. Defenses, all resistance, then armor, then probably life percent, and then life regeneration. If your life percent is really good, going for regeneration at that point is going to be a little bit better. For this build, honestly, I didn't even swap these. I don't need my resource cost reduction maxed. I would actually prefer to max out life on hit first, and then area damage, and then resource cost reduction. And then there's just gold find, which are still on our Paragon points, and I really don't know why. So I mean, that is pretty much it for the build. There's not a whole lot to it. You just want to make sure that when you're leaping around, as soon as you're done, I keep using Furious Charge because that's where my leap button is, but as soon as you're done leaping around, you want to find some safe place as fast as you possibly can. The monsters are going to be doing some pretty high damage, so go ahead and try the build out. I do feel that it still needs some tweaking and tuning. As I said, I do feel that maybe some of the gems that I'm using are not going to be optimal. I don't know that the additional reduced damage from elites by 10% it's helping, but I think having a vitality roll would be helping me out more, being able to boost my life pool even further. So that's going to be it for me. I am ChromeOnRust for Core Expert Gaming. Go ahead and try out the build for yourself. Just throw up the skills there one last time for you to check out. Call of the Ancients, not Furious Charge, leap with Death from Above, but you got the picture. So that's going to be it for me. I hope this did help and you enjoy. You know, there'll be some more PTR content coming out, possibly because the PTR is going to be out for a while. So maybe we'll look at a Furious Charge build next, even though, like I said, I do not have the Vi awards, which I feel are probably going to be pretty mandatory, as well as the belt that deals double rend damage. So that's it for me. ChromeOnRust for Core Expert Gaming, and you all have a great day.